Hi, I'm Kelly and this is Sarah. And we're gonna talk about how our birth story with our baby Reese, who is in the background. Kicking.
Making the noise.
Yes. Yes. So, a quick background on how we got pregnant. We currently live in Pennsylvania, but we were living in Florida, and we got pregnant with Reese on our 6th IUI and 3rd baby daddy.
Yeah. He was the one.
Yeah, 3rd time's a charm, sort of, but 6 tries. So when we moved back to Pennsylvania and I got my new doctor, everything was pretty much normal, I would say, in the pregnancy, like besides like regular pregnant stuff, you know, feeling morning sickness, and I keep looking off to look at the baby. She's very distracting. It was basically a regular, I would say, pregnancy, nothing crazy until the end. She was born in January, and around January 1st was the start of me going to the hospital to get checked out. And we as in me and the baby, got checked because I had high blood pressure towards the end. So it was like high blood pressure, and then in my visits, I would have high blood pressure, then I would go away and be normal. And then I would have high blood pressure again, and then it would go normal at different visits, like not all at one visit, if that made sense.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we were there.
I was there.
Like some visits were normal and some were high blood pressure. So my practice was right by our hospital. The first time I went, though, I was at home and waking up in the middle of the night with like I couldn't breathe, and I wake up like gasping for breath, and I would prop myself up on pillows to, like, you know, help elevate myself and try and fall asleep like that. And then I'd also make sure I was sleeping on my left side, and I would still wake up like gasping for breath, which was kind of freaky. So I called my doctor when they opened. Long story short, I got sent to the hospital to for the first time sent to the hospital to get my to get checked out. And I think that they checked my fetal movement and to make sure everything was okay. And during that visit, they made me feel like the baby was, they're like, maybe you'll leave with a baby. And it was January 1st, and my due date was the 23rd. So that was kind of freaky, but I left. Sarah wasn't with me, and I left with the baby still inside.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next appointment is when I had high blood pressure. At the appointment, they did they like waited, like they checked it and then waited, I think, and then checked it again, and it was still high in their opinion, and I couldn't tell you what the numbers are. So
That time I was with you, right?
yeah, got checked again, so went to the hospital. So that kind of happened 3 or 4 times where I was sent to the hospital to get my fetal movement checked every time. So
For hours.
Yeah. And every time, you know, you're semi-hopeful you'll have a baby, they'll like want to induce, you know, and that wasn't the case. So the Sunday before she was born, I was at work because I had to work still, even though
You were uncomfortable.
it was horrible.
Yeah.
Towards the end, it was really bad. My type of job is on my feet all day, and I didn't like sitting, like I felt guilty sitting down, so.
So this is Reese.
Okay, so we have Reese.
Impromptu.
Let's see how long this lasts. Yeah, it was really uncomfortable. And she's a very feisty little thing, so I think she was pretty high up for me. Like, she wasn't a low hanging baby my whole pregnancy. She was always pretty high, and her feet would always like be up in my ribs, so I would have to like squat sometimes to try and like relieve the pressure, and that didn't always help. So that Sunday before she came, a coworker had a blood pressure cuff and let me use hers, because previously when I would go to the hospital to get my blood pressure checked, and because it was too high, and I got, Reese, and got this her to check on the baby, they gave me a range, which I can't remember, of like what was an okay blood pressure, because they recommended I check it on my own, and on what was one to warrant calling the doctor. So I checked it at work on a whim. I felt normal, which was pregnant, and like I didn't feel different. My blood pressure was in that range to call the doctor, and I was really excited. Not that I really wanted to have high blood pressure, but I was hopeful that that meant
delivery day.
Yeah. Or even like my doctor would say I can't work, because I would need a doctor to tell, to give me what the heck, my knee. Okay. So I was hopeful that the even with the high blood pressure, maybe not an induction necessarily, but at least like she shouldn't be working right now. I know. So anyway, I waited to get my blood pressure, like I waited a little bit and checked it again, and it was still high. So I called the doctor, and the doctor said, "Can you lay down and relax?" I was like, "No, I'm at work. I have nowhere to do that." So I waited a little bit, like she asked, checked again. It was still in the range, and she said to get to the hospital. So luckily I was able to like go home. I asked if I could go home first to get Sarah, and if we could drive together, just in case it was delivery day.
To bring our bags.
Yeah.
In the car seat.
Yeah, because the last time we went and it wasn't D-Day, we were like, oh crap, like this could have been, like maybe we should keep our stuff in our the car, and we weren't. So, let's see, when we got to the delivery baby area, was it?
Maternity?
Oh, maternity section. The maternity part in the hospital. We told the lady at the front desk of the maternity, like, oh, this is like our 5th time here. She's like, oh, well, I'll put you in a room and not in triage. So that was like really awesome that we didn't go to triage. So we were in our own room, and we were getting checked, the two of us, and it was with my blood pressure. They were checking. They were like tracking her movement, and they were also checking my blood pressure every 30 minutes or something like that. I forget.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really want to have this baby. I really
okay.
I really want to get induced. Like, I'm not gonna feel bad, because they want the baby in there, to cook as long as possible, and I understand that. But yeah, I really wanted to have her. So our doctor came in and said my blood pressure didn't really go down, and it wasn't in a dangerous level, but based on my history of all throughout January and some of my appointments in December, my blood pressure raising and then going down and raising and going down, they decided that it was in the best interest of us two to induce, and I was like, hell yes. So that was exciting. So we were induced with a pill inserted into my cervix, and I forget what it's called.
Put it up there. Yeah, I forget.
It's, I mean, not worth it.
It
Did
didn't do
nothing.
anything.
It did nothing. It was a stupid drug. So I went in not dilated at all. And in my previous appointments, I only got checked one time to see how much I was dilated in a regular appointment, and I wasn't. And I wasn't dilated then either at the hospital. So they're gonna check on me in 4 hours after giving us the pill to see how I was progressing. I wasn't. 4 hours later, I wasn't. And it wasn't like the contractions weren't unbearable, but they definitely sucked. But it was doable. Then they decided to up the dose of the pill and did the pill again, and it did nothing for 4 more hours. Luckily, we were in a Harry Potter marathon.
Yes.
So, lucky for me. Sarah doesn't know Harry Potter like I know Harry Potter.
I couldn't really focus on it in there to like get into it because people were in and out all the time.
Yeah, for sure. Every time I had to go to the bathroom, which being pregnant and just being me, I have to go now all the time anyway. Mm-hmm. So having to be hooked up, like I'd have to ask for help to unhook, to go to the restroom. And I get pee shy, so like the nurse is there. She don't care because she sees everybody's vaginas. And I'm like, you didn't see mine yet. Yeah. So anyway, eventually Sarah would just help me unhook. They were fine with it. I think they attempted Pitocin, I think, in the first round, but didn't really do it. For some reason they stopped, and I don't know why. I don't remember. Dang, girl!
I think it was because her heart rate didn't agree with it. Like that's when she got riled up.
Okay. They would always look at her through through the monitor, her heart rate, and mine and my contractions, and they kept saying what a happy baby she was. So they talked about how happy she was in the womb, they did say like there was cause for concern, I guess, at some points, but didn't make it seem like it was anything drastic. But they're like, oh, she's already better, like
it regulated.
Yeah, and they're like, she's in this range, whatever it is, and like showed us, and like this is a happy baby. And they said my placenta was beautiful. So anyway, not to brag, humble brag. I forget why that came up. Why did it? Oh, because she was so good. Mm-hmm. They're like, the placenta's doing some good work. I was like, hell yeah, that's right. So after the second attempt with the pill, they wanted to try something different. This was a change of doctors, and we got a different doctor, and she wanted to try a balloon in my cervix to help get it going and
open it up
for this big old dome. And she didn't seem really excited about it.
Yeah, there's no positive.
No. She's like, oh, we could do this. And I was like, okay.
She's like, I didn't want you to say.
Yeah, honestly, I won't ever again. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Never again. Why? Because nothing happened. No dilation with this freaking. Yeah. It was so bad. It was so bad. Like my contractions up until first 8 hours of the being induced, it was doable contractions, especially with Harry Potter on. And as soon as she put that shit in, I was down. It was so bad. And I was like, immediately, like, I feel like holding the side of the bed, like, trying to concentrate on the pain and, like not, like, tense and, like, just let it run through me, you know? And it was just, like, contraction, contraction, contraction. And it was just, like, I got no rest. And after she was still in the room, she was like, well, if you want, we don't normally do this, but if you want the epidural, we could do it, you know, because you've already been doing this for 8 hours. And I was like, yes, I want it. Yes. Because you always hear those, like, stories of, like, the person does the epidural, like, being stuck in a surgery and you don't get it in time, or I didn't want to lose that chance to have it.
Yeah.
And I asked, like, would it wear off? They're like, no, it will not. I was like, then let's do it. Because I was also like, could I get it too early? Would it ruin things? And they were like, no. I was like, well, then give me the drugs. Because I was going to get them anyway. Yeah. I wasn't trying to push this wily baby out without drugs. So I got the drugs. And it was great. As soon as I got it, it was such torture before. As soon as I got the epidural, it was like heaven. And I got hooked up to a catheter. That was great. I loved not having to get up to pee. It was so great. I felt so guilty always asking the nurse, and having, my abs hang out every time I had to get out of the bed. And then I had to, like, carry all of, like, the
wires,
everything with me to the bathroom.
I would say, just to backtrack, your mom was there?
Oh yeah, my mom was there.
Pretty much the whole time, that whole day, I feel like. And we weren't allowed to be in the room.
Oh, when I got the epidural.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was by myself, being an adult.
Yeah. Yeah. So after your epidural, it was like 7:30. And I think they just monitored the balloon. I don't really remember how the balloon, like, came out. Like, why. Like, it was just time.
I think they took it out because it wasn't doing anything. And because they wanted to,
So I think there was, like, a time limit of, like, how long it could be.
Oh. And then I had the epidural, so, like, during that, like, I still had the balloon, and I know they checked on it, and then, like, maybe midway, and I kept it in. Because the whole thing with the balloon was they put it in, and they wanted it to fall out on its own. So, like, the nurse would come in and tug at the string hanging out of my vagina to see if I dilated. I didn't dilate. So I had people tugging strings out of my vagina.
They drained it. Now I remember.
I don't remember that.
So they drained it out, and then I'm assuming they checked you again. And then it wound up being like the doctor came in and was like, we're gonna have to do a C-section.
She kind of like recommended a C-section, and again made it look like, it seemed like it just, like, maybe she thought we wouldn't want to go that route.
Yeah.
And I could care less. I just wanted the baby out in a healthy way. So this was, like, the healthiest option, because they said her heart rate would be in distress and then it would be fine, back and forth, kind of like my blood pressure in the last month.
Yeah.
So they were worried about me still laboring with her heart rate and thought it was best. So I was like, okay, when are we gonna do this? Thinking maybe I could get a nap in, because I've been awake for 24 hours because I couldn't sleep because someone was kicking me from the inside and kept me awake.
The night before.
Before work, yeah. And I was like, so when are we doing this? And they're like, right now. So that was quick.
Yeah. It was like, what do we say, like 1:30 at that time?
Mm-hmm.
And then they like got everything ready.
Yeah.
And got suited up.
Mm-hmm.
In
It looked
my
like
nice,
a sexy doctor.
hairnet thing. Totally made for a man. I looked like,
Well, the women wear it too.
well, like that one
Oh,
was
like
humongous.
Oh, like for the partner being a dad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was very big.
Not tiny petite lady.
Mm-mm.
With tatas.
No, definitely not.
Well, I was getting prepped myself while Sarah got her wardrobe change.
Yes.
I was strapped to the hospital bed with my arms laid out and hurling my guts out. They gave me medicine before in our labor and delivery room to take to help with nausea. Threw it all up. I was like, I think I'm gonna throw up. And they're like, you should just throw up if you're going to. And I was like, I don't know. Yeah, I will. And I let it all out. I was so happy I did it before you were there because it was like, and I had like it on my face. I was,
Well,
and my arms are like
during the procedure, like that would have sucked.
Oh yeah. So threw my guts up, then my guts were out on the table. But yeah, my mom had a C-section, so I kind of grew up with, you know, knowing about C-sections and that it was a possibility. And my mom had a VBAC after the C-section, so you know, doctors' opinions change. It depends on who you are, who the doctor is, if they want you to have a VBAC, like have a vaginal after a C-section or continue having C-sections. And so I was happy to have the C-section, like I said, if that was the healthiest route for her. And yeah, I was scared about my vagina falling out. Not really falling out, but like I was scared about the healing process of my vaginal birth. So I was kind of like, oh, thank God. Like I won't have to like ice down my vagina after, which I didn't prepare for. Like I watched videos about like making your own ice pack for your vagina and everything. I wanted to do it, but man, you get so tired at your last month. Like you don't want to do diddly. I didn't want to do it. You can't see her face, but she knows what she did. So you got suited up, and you said what song was playing?
Rihanna, Love on the Brain.
And I don't remember that. I think I remember laying down and being like, I want to remember these songs.
Yeah, but you were like delirious.
Yeah. From like exhaustion. Just from being up for 24 hours. I would say overall my C-section experience was really good. It didn't hurt. Drugs did great.
Mm-hmm.
The nurse, like our night nurse, because it was in the middle of the night, Sheila was emphasizing to me there will be a period of time where it will be really uncomfortable or like it'll hurt.
Pressure.
Yeah, and it'll be like, she's like, it's gonna suck. But it's only, she's like, just remember, it's only gonna be for a little bit of time and then it'll be over and then you'll have your baby. And I was like, okay, no problem. And I was just remembering my mom said the same thing. There's pressure, but doable. I was like, anything is better than those contractions I had.
Yeah.
So I had no issues in the C-section. It was great. I had no pressure, no uncomfortable, you know, after I threw up my guts, everything was fine, honestly. Yes, because of you. I mean. So yeah, it was great. If I had to have another C-section, like, I mean, that's a conversation. I'm curious what our doctor would say. whenever we could hopefully have another baby, like if they would recommend a C-section because of the high blood pressure and all that, or if they would want a VBAC. So
If you had to choose,
tune in.
what would you pick?
I'd pick a C-section.
Mm.
Yeah, I would pick it. Yeah, I would pick a C-section again because especially if it was like a scheduled C-section.
Yeah.
Like we knew when to go, all that. I didn't have to like labor and then go into a C-section.
Right.
And that's where I would like the experience to have a vaginal birth. Like I know it's gonna hurt, but I would like that experience. Yes. But I like knowing things and knowing this is the day we're gonna have our baby.
Right.
Would be nice. And not be like, oh, was that a contraction? And like, fuck time.
Yeah.
Like that I was having before we went like into the hospital. Like my Braxton Hicks were very similar to contractions, and I thought they were contractions. So not having to worry about that would be cool. Sucking it down. So they cut her at me. And Sarah, the screen was up and Sarah was on my side, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And we heard like, and I was like, please stay awake, Kelly, stay awake, stay awake, stay awake. It was just so hard to stay awake. And then we heard her cry.
Mm-hmm.
And they were surprised too that she cried right away. They're like, oh wow, she's vocal or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And then she stopped for a little bit and then she came out crying. And I remember she had the cutest cry. Like a little angel baby. I don't know, like some baby cries are like,
yeah.
And when she was born, she really wasn't like that. It was just like, I'm here.
Just enough.
Yeah. It wasn't annoying. I don't know, is that because we're her parents, they were annoying? Wouldn't they would be annoying because you're the parents. Like, they're like, give me attention. I don't know, I'm thinking too deep into it.
Yeah. I don't know.
The science of cries. So she cried and then we cried. Like when we were like, oh, was that her cry? And
I was crying before that.
oh, I wasn't.
My mask was wet.
Aw, Sarah.
Soggy.
I didn't know. Now it's just like, oh, please stay awake. My body's like getting assaulted. But yeah, I didn't cry till I heard her cry, and then the waterworks came, and then all of a sudden they like come around the curtain and they're holding her upside down, like, here's your baby, look over here, look over here, and I was like
a fresh caught fish, like,
yeah, and she was so cute.
yeah.
You should put in a picture of her fresh face.
Yeah, put it in.
She had an RBS from the very beginning. It was so cute though. I was like, literally her first look, me looking at her was like, seriously?
Yeah.
I wasn't ready yet. Right, honey? We're to the little baby section that I couldn't see. And Sarah got to go over.
Cut the cord. And the nurse took some pictures with my phone.
Yeah, that was so nice that they did that. I don't know, like, if we had a vaginal birth, like, if I would want it filmed or not. Like, I've gone back and forth, like, for us, you know, like, not the world to see.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if I'd want that. Would you want that? I don't know either.
I don't know.
Like, do I want to relive? Like, I don't know what I'll be like laboring. Like a psychopath screaming or what?
Yeah.
Are you practicing? So you cut the cord, they weighed her, all that. Did they do that there and in her room?
They weighed her and did her measurements with the tape measure. And in our room, they did like the eye drops, put her under the sun.
I think like also you had to follow Reese without me. Like I had to stay and get sewn back up, and they
In
just were
private.
like in private. Yeah, I still had my screen up. I didn't see it.
Yeah, so you got sewn up. I was with Reese.
And my mom.
Your mom got to meet
My
her.
mom was there. We were debating like she had to work the next day, and like she obviously wanted to be there, and I wasn't progressing, so she didn't like. We were talking about like maybe she would just go home and sleep and come back, and then they're like C-section. She's like, yeah, I'll stay.
Yeah.
So it was great. And she's like, I think I'll just go. And I was like, why don't you just wait till we get to our next room? And then she got more cuddles in, and it was good.
Yeah.
It was really overall a great experience. Our hospital was really great, and all of our nurses were wonderful. It was a good experience.
10 out of 10.
Do it again.
Yeah. Gave everyone 5 stars. How could you not?
I know, they were also nice. Anything else you need to say about our Esperance?
I guess our memories are mush, so if there's any questions
Yeah, it is much.
or, I don't know, anything that we might have missed that you want to know about, just let us know and we'll answer it separately.
For sure. What was your experience being the partner and not the one? Do you have advice for people who are not going through the labor? What do you wish, or what do you plan to do next time, or whatever, or wish you did?
Next time I'm going to feed you a lot.
Oh, before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was horrible.
like we packed all our stuff, so like that was nice. I didn't have to like leave
Hi.
you
Yes, you didn't.
to go get it. Hi.
Hi.
Like everyone was accommodating to me, and they didn't treat me any different, I
Yeah.
assume, than if I was
Yeah, they were
the father.
pretty progressive, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like they asked, like every time I would go to the hospital in January and get checked, every time we had to go through the same like song and dance of like your history, blah blah blah. And they asked like how I wanted to be identified, so that they would, identify. Like it was like a questionnaire that they had for everybody, I assume.
Yeah, but no, it was pretty good. The only part that was like inconvenient was I got 1 free meal,
Oh yeah, that did
which
suck.
was like weird,
It is weird.
because I totally would have just paid for it in the room, but that wasn't an option, so
Oh yeah.
I had to like leave to go.
So probably look that up.
Feed
Like we
myself.
took a hospital tour, and I don't remember them talking about the meal. I think we interpreted it as you would get a free meal a day.
Yeah, it was 1 free
It
meal.
was 1 meal the whole visit. So that sucked. So like I tried to order more so that Sarah could eat some. I mean, we did have snacks, and we did. Yes. You had snacks, huh? You had some milk? You had a great experience?
Yeah, it was convenient for me.
Yeah. That is all. If we forgot to say that our baby's name is Reese.
Here she is.
Here she is. She's 3 months. I think she'll be 16 weeks. She's very vocal.
And it's time for bed.
Yes, it's bedtime, honey. We gotta read our llama book. Well, thanks for watching if you lasted this long.
Yes.
You're probably a family member if you did. Yes? Yeah. See you next time, whenever that is.
Yeah. We'll see.
Hopefully sooner than later. Oh no. Bedtime, bye. Supergirl.